The appointments are lined up.
You waiting for somebody in there?
Got an appointment.
And it's not about what you want to hear, but what you need to hear.
It's not personal. It's strictly business. It's time you and me had a private talk, Winger. Step into my office.
It's Step Into My Office with Michael Lombardi. Mr. Lombardi, we'll see you now.
Okay, let's put the Cowboys' illness aside because I did not hear Dak Prescott included in any of these conversations. So he's going to step into the office here, Michael. Despite leapfrogging Brock Purdy last week as a favorite for MVP, ends up having a performance where he just has 134 yards, no touchdowns, an interception against the Bills. Dallas, where they're 7-0 at home this season, they're 3-4 on the road, look like a completely different team, and it's another big game where they can't deliver. So if he's sitting at your desk today, what does Dak need to hear after yet another rough loss on the road?
Well, I think sometimes in winning and losing, we learn a lot about ourselves. We can learn what we do when we win. We can learn what we can't do when we lose. And one thing we've learned when you guys go on the road is you can't play from behind. And that is really what it is. And you had a nice drive to start the game, and it kind of went downhill with the holding call. You've got to be able to play fast, win the first quarter. It's really important for your team to execute those 10, 12-play drive to start the game off. And you've got to find a way to deliver some mental toughness to your team. As the leader of the team, you're going to have to really set the stage here because you're going to have to go on the road. You're going to be the fourth, you'll be the fifth seed. You won't win the East. And you're going to have to win 3 road playoff games, maybe in New Orleans, maybe in Tampa Bay, which are doable. And we've seen great teams come from behind and win 3 road teams. Eli Manning being the perfect example with the New York Football Giants. So I think that's got to be your mindset. Like, what becomes hard has to be something you embrace. And you've got to be able to be as the leader. Look, we've said this all year long. If you're going to lose, it's going to be because your defense didn't play well enough. Well, now you know that in a physical game, your defense, whether it was with the flu or not, can't play well enough. I think it's really on you to challenge the team to block out the noise because it's coming at you and just focus on what you guys do and start fast. Miami this week can't play from behind. Don't let Miami get ahead of you. You play from in front.
I hope he takes that to heart because Dak Prescott's playoff record is not good, and his record against teams on the road that are over 500, so playing good teams on the road, 6-13 straight up in his career. So he really needs to listen to you, Michael, if they want to turn that narrative around. How about Mike Tomlin? This Pittsburgh Steelers team started the season 7-4. They were exceeding expectations left and right. They have since dropped 3 straight games at risk of Mike Tomlin having his first losing season in Pittsburgh. He told reporters after the game, quote, "I don't necessarily have the answers as we sit here today. What should Tomlin's message to the team be to finish this season strong and get my season win total over, Michael? I need this."
Well, I think what we're seeing is the erosion of culture. And a guy who's a tremendous culture builder knows that the culture of this team right now can't stay together, whether it's because of his inability to recognize that Matt Canada wasn't the right offensive coordinator and it took him into the season, his inability to really understand what's going on with George Pickens, who's creating a lot of problems. Deontay Johnson's creating a lot of problems. It's one thing to be everybody on the same page like defensively, but offensively there seems to be a splintering of the team. And I think it's carried over now into the team. And so the only real solution is, as a leader, you just got to take over the team. You know, and you're going to have to really make some decisions that perhaps it may not be in the best interest of who's playing, but it may help the team. Yesterday, Tampa Bay, Devon White didn't want to go. They had no problem. Put him on the bench. Like, you're going to have to make a statement here. You're going to have somebody take accountability for this behavior, because I see a team that's not connected. I see a team where George Pickens is on the sideline causing more problems than he's causing solutions. And I also think you and I both know, we've lived this. We've watched Mitchell Trubisky play. He's turnover. He's mistake prone. And the longer you keep playing him, the credibility goes. Now, can Mason Rudolph play better? I don't know. I don't think he can. We know that. Doesn't anticipate very well. But we're going to have to find a way to get back to winning ugly. And I think a lot of that starts with the culture. And if you can't get this culture right, you're not going to win another game the rest of the year.
And you did mention that off the top of the hour, too. It looks like Mason Rudolph is going to go ahead and start this game against the Bengals this week. Pittsburgh getting 2.5, total 38.5. Tomlin also said Kenny Pickett is progressing, didn't totally rule him out, but the expectation is it'll be Rudolph. How about Joe Barry, defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, stepping into the office after giving up a game-winning drive to Tommy DeVito and the Giants 2 weeks ago. Then the Packers defense lets Baker Mayfield post a perfect passer rating. First player ever to do that is as a visiting quarterback in Lambeau Field. When asked on the possibility of firing Barry midseason, Matt LaFleur told reporters now's not the time for that. What can Barry do as he needs to improve this defense and make a playoff push for Green Bay?
Well, I think, Joe, what you have to do is figure out what you do well and what you don't do well. And, I think you can't do everything. I think you're going to have to get back to basics. You're going to have to really utilize the skill and let the players play faster. And you're going to have to take away the number one receiver. I think what I could help you with is you're going to have to be game plan specific. To let Tommy DeVito carry the ball 7 times for 70 yards is really on you. If you go back and watch Dennis Allen's tape today, and you'll see what Dennis Allen did to DeVito. He didn't give him an escape route. He didn't let him get out of there. Took away the run. The game's a 7-6 game at halftime. It wasn't like the offense was good in New Orleans. But what was good in New Orleans was Dennis Allen's game plan. Being able to pressure from inside, not allowing them to get out of the pocket and run the football. And so, to me, I think it comes down to you being game plan specific. You got to take away the best receiver. You got to be able to stop the run. I think you got to really spend a lot of time on your run fits. Your run defense has been atrocious for 2 years. You got guys in the wrong gaps. Guys don't fit the run very well. It's an ongoing project, and the only way you're going to get it better over the next 3 weeks, because there's no practice time, is to cut down the play sheet and try to execute 2 or 3 things really well and let your players play faster.
Opportunity to get back on track as a 5-point road favorite against Carolina this coming week. The Panthers have no home field advantage, but as Atlanta saw this week, you can't pencil anything in anymore in the NFL.
Pencils.
Nope, no more penciling in. But also, by the way, Tommy DeVito in his 4 starts, 3 of them he was sacked a combined 22 times against the Packers. Big 0 there. How about Doug Peterson? We almost had him in the office last week. We refrained. This week we couldn't let him not sit down anymore. 3 straight losses now as the Ravens just knocked him out, forced them to have only 7 points on the board. Trevor Lawrence is in concussion protocol. It might be C.J. Beathard in a pivotal game against the Bucs next Sunday. How can Peterson regroup this team? Can they retake control of their division and playoff destiny?
Well, I think one thing we've learned about your team this year, Doug, is whenever you play a good team, you don't play very well. Kansas City, you can't score any points against them. San Francisco, you can't score any points against them. You couldn't score any points against Baltimore. All playing these games at home. And I think it's kind of a little bit of an indication of the lack of toughness within the team. I understand your offensive line is beat up. I get that. I understand that your quarterback's kind of beat up. But I don't think you got to have to figure out a way to run the football. You won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia, and it wasn't with Nick Foles' incredible play. It was you had Jay Ajayi running, and you had LeGarrette Blount running the football, and you were tough to stop in that run game. Your team was physical. Your defense was physical. This team is nothing like a physical football team. It struggles. And I think you're going to have to figure out a way to get to that, because as the level of competition rises and you get to the playoffs, or if you can't, you're going to have to figure out a way to how in the hell are we going to be able to run the ball when we need a 3rd and 2. And we just can't answer every problem with, we're going to run Y stick. We're going to put it on the quarterback. Because your quarterback, if you're really being honest with yourself, your quarterback isn't playing anywhere near the level you thought he would be when he was the 1st overall pick in the draft. Got to cut down the mistakes, but more than anything, you got to find a way. On this 3-game losing streak, you haven't had an opportunity. You don't run the football. And you can't control the game if you don't.
Dean Spanos finally committed to the inevitable and cut ties with Brandon Staley after that embarrassment on Thursday Night Football. The Chargers have 1 playoff win in the last decade, and Justin Herbert's on his 3rd head coach as of next season. Where does Spanos need to go with this hire? What advice would you give?
You need credibility, Dean. You need credibility. And this hire's got to give you credibility. Because right now people see you as cheap. People see you as taking the path of least resistance. And you have a fan base when you're going to witness it. There are going to be so many Bills Mafia out there celebrating Christmas. You thought Santa took them all there on the sleigh. Like, you'll have no home field. And if you don't gain credibility and if you don't get a tough team and that's willing to play in 3 dimensions, this is going to continue on. You got to buy your way into credibility.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.